Sometimes I feel like saying, Lord, I just don't care. Sometimes it seems the Lord is just too low, and you go no matter what I do. You got the love, 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 you got the love.
Thank you, grazie a tutti, buonasera. Sorry we are starting a little bit late, but people were still coming. Vi dico subito che tutta questa tavola rotonda sarà in inglese, quindi l'unica parola in italiano che sentirete è questa. Spero di non dire qualcun altro invento. Thank you very much to ISKO for this invitation. Let me summarize briefly how I'll manage this round table. The idea is, obviously we'll be talking about the denim world, but the idea is to talk about the yesterday or yesterdays in terms of not so much the history, but how creativity, which role creativity played in the success and development of denim, and also how contamination helped creativity, because as any, please be quiet down there. If denim is a lifestyle, that's true creativity, but creativity is not something you can grab on a tree. It's something that develops from also contamination with different words, with different players and different words in terms of, for example, art and what else. Second step will be to talk about the present, the today, and therefore to see which sort of challenges and topics involve in this moment the world of denim, because the competition is high for everybody, and particularly and specifically for this field of fashion. Third step will be the future, so the tomorrow, in terms of how to shape the new trends, but especially how trends can be shaped. It's not a game word. It's easy to understand trends sometimes, but it's more difficult to shape the new trends, and we have different witnesses on how different kind of markets can be not only followed, but sometimes also shaped, and therefore forecasted. First of all, though, let me introduce who is our guest, basically. And so Marco Lucetti di ISKO, non vuole che, he doesn't want me to quote his role, but I will. He's the marketing director of ISKO Group. A big, if you can clap your hands, please.
Thank you very much. So today we are really proud to have here all of you. And when we started thinking about this experience together with my friends, with Andrea and his team, we thought we will never be able to put together such a panel of experts and such an audience with really all what I would say the denim gurus are sitting among us. I would like to thank first of all the event partner, which is Première Vision, here so well represented by Mr. Philippe Pasquet, who will be part of the panel, and by Mrs. Chantal Malengret, who's the director of Denim by Première Vision. Again, as ISKO, we are always trying to do things differently, as being a worldwide market leader as far as denim fabric and textile technology production are concerned. We thought that we were in the condition to share our experience, to share knowledge, and also maybe to push a little bit market standard ahead. That's what we are doing every day with our products and with our innovations. So today, again, we would like, as Mr. Barisoni was saying, to experience also how the fashion sector and the denim sector in particular is today a true lifestyle and is not anymore just a garment or a piece of fabrics as far as ISKO production is concerned. I am really thankful again to Adriano Goldschmied, to Katharine Hamnett, to Elio Fiorucci, to Vladimiro Baldin, Scott Morrison and Philippe Pasquet of being here today. I'm really thankful to Mr. Barisoni who accepted our invitation to be here today, of being the debate moderator. And I give the stage to my friend Chantal Malingre, who is hosting the event together with us. Thank you very much.
Applauso, grazie.
Thank you, Marco. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this amazing event to celebrate the power and the influence of denim in the world and in our daily life. It's a great pleasure for us to be partnered with ISKO in a such relevant initiative, totally in line with our strategy. As a leading event in the denim industry, Denim by Première Vision is very committed to support the unique culture of denim all over the world. So we are very proud and excited to be here tonight to share ideas with denim friends and fashion personality. Special thanks to Mr. Fati, Marco, and all the ISKO team to make this happen. Thank you, appreciate the panel, and enjoy the party.
Thank you very much. Okay, now to conclude the starting, we do have also some authorities, local authorities among the audience. I would like to invite on stage Mr. Adinolfi, who is Prefetto, the Governor of the Treviso province, because denim is an industry such important to this district, and we are very proud that the Italian government sent his representative. Thank you very much.
Buonasera a tutti, io parlo italiano perché innanzitutto devo dire che mi sento molto imbarazzato in questa occasione perché ritengo di essere uno dei pochi che non indossa i jeans. Vabbè, comunque questo non è importante, ma siamo in due e tre, ecco. Però nello stesso tempo sono anche imbarazzato perché non ho mai visto tanti personaggi così famosi nel campo della moda, non li sto qua a citare, ma sono veramente tanti. Quindi io voglio ringraziare per l'invito innanzitutto Umberto Brocchetto, perché è lui che mi ha invitato, invito a cui ho aderito molto volentieri perché appunto mi ha dato la possibilità di accostarmi ad una realtà economica di dimensioni addirittura mondiali, che con un fatturato elevatissimo, che ha uffici in ben 35 paesi del mondo e che produce denim ad alto contenuto strategico e nello stesso tempo soddisfa quelle che sono le esigenze funzionali, estetiche e di vestibilità di una gran parte della popolazione. Ma soprattutto ritengo che sia motivo di vanto e di grossa soddisfazione per tutti quanti noi italiani che proprio a Castelfranco Veneto sia operante, è stata resa attiva almeno mi pare dal 2011, quel Creative Room, che è appunto quel centro di design e di ricerca di tendenze, diciamo, che addirittura è talmente all'avanguardia che riesce a dare utili idee e suggerimenti anche a coloro che sono i padri e i direttori del jeans, che sono appunto gli americani. Siamo in un momento di crisi, quindi non possiamo noi sperare in una ripresa il più presto possibile, ripresa che certamente non può prescindere da una valida realtà produttiva come la vostra, che oltre a portare ricchezza e lavoro contribuisce in modo significativo a quello che è la crescita e lo sviluppo economico anche di questo territorio. Quindi io chiudo esprimendo il mio più sincero ringraziamento e apprezzamento al Presidente, al Vicepresidente, al Direttore Marketing, a tutti coloro che lavorano, che prestano la loro opera in Castelfranco Veneto, ma anche in tutte le altre zone dove vi sono le aziende di questa holding. Esprimo per l'impegno appunto profuso per valorizzare l'immagine, mi riferisco a Castelfranco Veneto, della marca trevigiana, assieme all'ente provincia che svolge in via istituzionale questo compito, ma anche assieme a tutte le altre imprese attive che fortunatamente ancora operano in questa provincia. Grazie ancora per l'invito.
Grazie, perfetto. Una sola nota, prefetto, anch'io porto i jeans, che non si vede, poi dico dove. Allora, let me introduce you the real actors of these roundtables. Most of you already know them, but I'll have as duty to introduce them with their formal roles. So first of all, Mr. Adriano Goldschmied, who is the founder of Genius Group, founder of AG Adriano Goldschmied, and Goldsign. Please, if you can clap your hands every time they were walking. And then Elio Fiorucci, who is the founder of Fiorucci and Love Therapy. I don't need to add anything else. Grazie anche lei. Katharine Hamnett, who is Katharine Hamnett CBE, fashion designer and campaigner, former designer for the and member of the Genius Group, Madam Ria. And then Scott Morrison, who is the founder of 341. Scott, here you are. Thank you very much. Vladimiro Baldin, who is the creative center manager for Diesel. Here you are. Raffaello Napoleone, who is the CEO of Pitti Immagine. Thank you. And Philippe Pasquet, CEO of Première Vision. Bienvenue. Okay, so as I told you, first question and first topic will be the yesterday, not to talk about the past in terms of golden age, but in terms of how denim became a lifestyle that is now taken for granted, but was not supposed to be so taken for granted years ago. You are nicknamed the godfather of denim. I don't know if this is an insult or a compliment, but you tell me. And you were the founder of the Genius Group. Now, creativity is the base of any kind of fashion industry, but I'm more interested in the mix between creativity, copying, stealing, and also, by that point of view, mixing fashion ideas with art ideas, with other bold ideas.
So, probably grandfather is just because of age. And let's say for sure I have to say that the denim for our generation was at that time our uniform and our flag. It was probably a kind of symbol and an icon of a generation that was thinking in a different way from the previous generation. And let's say the most important thing that we had at that time, in my opinion, was a passion. The passion for also political goals, thinking about it in a different way. And in some way, we naturally got married with the denim without even realizing in some way what was happening. And denim in some way represented for our generation what the canvas is for an artist in some way. Obviously, I think everybody knows the history of denim, especially in Europe until late 60s. Denim was just basically a working uniform and probably the cheapest way to wear something. It is our generation in some way that started thinking in a different way and using the denim as a tool of creativity. We gave completely a different image and goal to our work. Let's say that this one is an area, or it was an area, of immigrants. And in some way, I have to say the Veneto area, in some way, was the area that was bringing a kind of international point of view. You know, it was typical of the people living here to be in the position to go in other countries. And so, for instance, we think that we was in a very different situation than Paris. Paris used to be the center of the world. For us, it was normal to go to see the other people and to travel. So immediately, this one is a very important point, probably we're going to go later on this. The denim became a canvas, but became also a kind of message that we've been able to transfer into a global vision. And so we've been bringing a complete new vision, and we was in some way, we know now, obviously we was not really conscious at that time, but we've been bringing a tremendous change to the fashion world. The fashion world at that time was very formal, and we was coming from a different point of view. And this one is a proof that when you come with a point of view, you have a strong idea, you can be a winner in any time, including also the time that you live today, that for sure is hard and difficult.
So contamination as a process that is easier when you don't think yourself as the center of the world, but you need to explore, and even it was a land of immigration, this one. So there was an history of to go away and to get still spread ideas and come back. I wonder if still there is the same sort of attitude now and the same facility in traveling around as it was in the 60s and the 70s. Mr. Fiorucci, for you was slightly different because you already had a lot of very high point of observation from what was happening in New York, in London, and how contamination is due from what other people are doing. And is it correct to talk about contamination, or sometimes it's more directly stealing it, to be like a thief?
No, credo che la nascita del denim fashion, perché qui stiamo a distinguere il denim come abito da lavoro, come era nato, e come lo descrive anche Adriano giustamente, un abito che rappresentava quasi un'ideologia di cambiamento e di uso di materiali. Si usavano le divise usate militari, si usavano gli scarponi dei boscaioli, cioè voglio dire, noi abbiamo colto invece quella nicchia che mi sembrava più interessante, almeno interessante per me, che era la vestibilità femminile. Noi abbiamo capito subito, io l'ho capito guardando le ragazze hippie, mi è capitato di andare a Ibiza o di fare qualche viaggio e vedevo che queste ragazze usavano il 501 e se lo strizzavano addosso, cercando di evidenziare le loro parti migliori. Ad un certo punto mi è venuto in mente che se fossimo riusciti a costruire un denim adatto alla femminilità avremmo avuto un grande mercato, perché le donne erano attirate dal denim, ma erano attirate anche dalla bellezza del loro corpo. E io mi ricordo che i primi jeans che fabbricavamo, per essere indossati, le ragazze si dovevano sdraiare sulla moquette e tirare sulla cintura. Questo però l'ha fatto anche Adriano, questo lui l'ha taciuto, ma è stato un maestro anche in questo settore. Adesso lui ha voluto fare un discorso orientato più a un costume, io invece faccio un discorso che comprende il costume e comprende anche però quella forza meravigliosa e miracolosa che ha la femminilità e la bellezza delle donne, perché questo è lo stimolo più grande che esiste al mondo, cioè noi uomini viviamo perché esistono le donne e continuamente le guardiamo come esempi di felicità e di vita.
Sì, lo
allora,
pensa anche il nostro Presidente del Consiglio.
Scusi,
No, lo pensa anche il
i
nostro
nostri
Presidente del
primi
Consiglio.
poster fatti da Oliviero Toscani, per esempio c'è un poster bellissimo dove c'è un jeans tagliato e poi tutto rattoppato con dei pezzi di tessuto indiano o marocchino, che era un oggetto che avevamo trovato di una ragazza che veniva dall'Australia e che, avendo attraversato l'India e il Marocco, aveva aggiustato i suoi pantaloncini, che erano diventati corti perché erano più comodi, ed erano una specie di, come dire, mosaico di tessuti. E lì mi è scattata l'idea che comunque il matrimonio tra il denim e altri tessuti è un'altra via dello sviluppo del denim. Cioè non è necessario che il denim sia sempre denim. Il denim sposa qualunque altro tessuto. E come adesso il denim sposa qualunque altro colore. Discutevamo prima con alcune persone importanti sul futuro del denim. E io sostengo che il denim abbia in sé delle caratteristiche, e faccio una battuta, io dico è l'unico prodotto che se ad un certo punto io apro una bottiglietta di acqua e mi bagno le mani, l'asciugo nel denim, non lo farei con nessun altro pantalone, perché il denim è un tessuto amico, è un tessuto che viene dal lavoro, è un tessuto col quale vai in montagna, vai al mare e vai adesso anche alla Scala, per cui è un tessuto straordinario, un tessuto che ha delle caratteristiche che non ci ha ancora svelate, perché io non le ho ancora capite tutte le caratteristiche del denim, ma è ricchissimo di opportunità e di possibilità di cambiare continuamente. Ecco, io voglio dire questo, io sono a fianco a Adriano.
Sì.
Adriano deve essere nominato re del denim perché abbiamo imparato tutti da lui, e io dico la verità, io quando incontravo Adriano mi emozionavo anche perché lui ha avuto il coraggio di fare tutto e farlo tutto per primi. Io ho avuto la fortuna di essere alleato a una grande società che era la Montedison, che mi permetteva di fare sperimentazione perché aveva la fibra, perché voleva cercare i tessuti. Ho creato un centro design Montefibre dove si studiavano le tendenze, per cui sono stato favorito. Però Adriano ci batteva sempre, con la sua intuizione insegnava a noi cosa dovevamo fare, per cui questo è molto importante.
Thank you. No, mi chiedevo se quella ragazza italiana avete mai riconosciuto i diritti, però, no? L'australiana, mi scusi. La ragazza a cui vi siete ispirati era australiana.
Aspetta, lei adesso mi sta parlando in italiano.
Sì, tendenzialmente sì.
Io
perché mi guardava il labiale. No, dico, ma la ragazza australiana l'avete mai riconosciuto i diritti per quello che l'avete rubato, no?
No, le ragazze australiane attraversavano
sì, questo l'ho capito, ma dico, voi avete copiato un'idea? Non è che le avete dato qualcosa in cambio, vero, no?
No, non ho capito bene. Cioè...
No, dico, avete copiato, a proposito di contaminazione e creatività, avete appreso da questa ragazza australiana con i jeans rattoppati, giusto?
No, perché dunque la cosa è questa, che questi ragazzi hippie non erano ragazzi poveri o rivoluzionari come intendiamo noi rivoluzionari, erano tutti figli di un'aristocrazia, e la rivoluzione non era politica ma era di costume, erano stufi di famiglie ipocrite, di famiglie di ricchi, perché di solito i ricchi sono anche ipocriti, e allora alla fine noi volevamo la verità. Volevamo un mondo più sincero, un mondo più onesto, un mondo... È vero, Adriano? Ecco, allora a questo punto la rivoluzione non è stata politica, perché infatti il denim in Russia non ha avuto nessun successo. I ragazzi volevano il denim, ma per contestare il comunismo. Allora bisogna stare molto attenti quando si parla del denim come contestazione. Il denim contestava nel paese nel quale si trovava quello che c'era di peggio, perché alla fine, voglio dire, in Inghilterra contestava l'ipocrisia della regina, in America contestava l'ipocrisia del potere capitalista, in Italia contestava l'ipocrisia del paese in genere. E a un certo punto, voglio dire, quello che voleva la verità. Il sesso era anche il bisogno di manifestare la propria bellezza. La fine della paura è l'inizio della vita. Noi abbiamo inventato la fine della paura inventando i sederi che si vedevano, che sono la cosa più bella del mondo. Abbiamo inventato le gambe che si vedevano. Ecco, noi abbiamo inventato la verità e siamo delle persone semplici e come sempre le persone semplici dicono la verità. La verità è la cosa che piace di più però, perché tutte le costruzioni troppo filosofiche, troppo complicate, io dicevo, guardavo il sedere di una ragazza col jeans e mi sembrava comunque più bella di qualunque altro tessuto lei indossasse. Io non stavo tanto a ragionare perché mi piaceva quella col denim.
E questo, diciamo, vagamente l'ho intuito che lei sia un grande osservatore di donne, però allora let's go back to no, because don't keep on, because if you keep on saying what you were thinking about when you were watching the bum in the jeans, it would be dangerous. But Katharine Hamnett, Fiorucci was saying, well, we had also the opportunity to do research, and maybe we'll go back to that later, because creativity is one thing, contamination is beautiful, but then you have to have the money and also the possibility to have research. But being focused still on the creativity and contaminations, how important are the networks? Because they can be spontaneous, like traveling around, observing an Australian girl wearing a sort of patchwork, in denim patchwork, Fiorucci no, and can be also part of a network a little bit more organized, not only spontaneous, not only... You were belonging to the Genius group, if I remember correctly, so I'd like to have your witness on
Yeah,
that.
I worked with Adriano. I think I started working with Adriano in 1979, and sort of at that time, I suppose denim had become the uniform of, you know, it started off as utility, invented in about 1867 by a Nevada tailor, but it gradually became, I think in the 50s after World War II, it became, you know, the outfit of the alpha male, it was the pioneer, and then it was the rock and roller. And it became the costume of the young, and I think that what we did working with the Adriano, working with Goldie, designing the jeans for that. I mean, research for me is something that it's not a separate thing from creativity. I research first, it feeds my creativity, and then I create. I think this is what designers do. We put stretch into it, and we turned it into sex. I mean, that's what we did, is that once you've got stretch, once you have lycra or elastane in denim, you know, you can actually, it's a mold that you pour your body into. You can actually improve your body enormously. In fact, I found the best fitting I'd ever do is I'd actually get the girl with an incredible figure and we'd make something that anybody put it on. Because it literally pulls your flesh up and forces, you know, you can get sort of bits from your knees practically and put them into your bottom with denim. And so you give everybody this incredible figure. I think it is about sex, and I think it's become a sort of a democratization. It's a very democratic garment. You'll have it, you can buy them from €5 to 500 euros. I mean, there's probably a couple of pairs of denim jeans around at 5,000, but they're not the ones that sell the most. But everybody wears them, from the very right wing to the revolutionary. They've become this universal outfit. And, you know, the fashions change, the fits change slightly, the waistlines go up and down, the way that you deal with it, but it's become the uniform. It was the uniform of the late 20th century, and it's the uniform of the 21st. I don't think probably in the whole world we haven't been selling as many pairs of jeans as we're selling right now.
Yeah, it's very important what you were underlying, the fact that, more from a sociological point of view, or history of costume, in the denim there is an element of democratization, a strong element of democratization. You can never tell what's the upbringing of somebody wearing a pair of jeans, basically. It's very difficult to
It's
say.
the way that people make themselves modern, and it's also, I suppose, the first point of buying into a designer brand. This is like, you can buy a pair of jeans and suddenly you feel you're hip, you know, you're cutting edge, and, you know, the fashion in denim changes quite rapidly, and people are keeping up with that. Somebody said fashion is sort of comes from actually the cutting edge of the culture. You say how modern you are really by the jeans that you're wearing. Am I answering your question? Probably not.
No, yes, you did. You did, but just a final question for the first round. What about contamination? Like, a network is important, I mean, an organized network or source of information or facing and meeting your colleagues, or is more important your personal experience?
I think you're influenced by everything that you see. You can choose what you go looking for, but I mean, I'm as inspired by, a bit like Elio, somebody I see walking down the street, you know, and it could be anywhere in the world, you know. We travel now hugely, more than we've ever traveled before, and so sort of cross-contamination, which I'd rather, or cross-fertilization of ideas happen very, very rapidly. And, you know, everybody's playing with it, everybody's in the same pot, and, you know, it's like what tastes best is what you take most out of it.
Mr. Morrison, we've been talking about sort of sociological or anthropological contamination is what Mr. Goldschmied was referring to before, like traveling, being open to new countries and new worlds. Then the, if you want, artistic contamination of Mr. Fiorucci, like the beauty of woman's body, if I can, and the contamination that Madam was quoting just now. There is another one that might come from architecture, basically. So there is not only, well, architecture, I mean design and architecture, obviously. And did it play a role in in launching your new project, and how?
Yeah, I mean, I think architecture, design, and structure definitely played a role in the launch of 3x1. I also think that in my comments about the contamination or influence, if you will, is really kind of tied to that same idea, which is everyone finds their inspiration from different interpretations. So you can find it from art, you can find it from architecture. When I got into the jeans business, which is very recent, 15, 16 years ago, my initial influences were from Diesel and Replay, heavily in Italian brands. And the American development cycle and the way we produced and developed and designed jeans, we couldn't really replicate a lot of what an incredible innovation that was happening in Italy. So you take those types of concepts and ideas and you make them your own. And that was right around the same time I started traveling to Japan, and you see the Japanese influence, especially in textiles, really starting to bear fruit and really create, you know, something unique. Mm-hmm. And I think there's that constant, as a designer, quest for newness and quest for innovation and quest for acceptance, maybe accepting any kind of outside influence or any kind of new thought that sends you on a different path or a different direction. To
Diesel, and so to Vladimiro Baldin, I'd like to understand something and to ask something. For creativity, is more important inspiration or research? Okay, you can answer both, but that would be very easy. Like, we tend to refer to creativity always as a sort of artistic attitude and moment. Okay, inspiration is important, but we know, or maybe we should know, that behind creativity and creativeness, there's a lot of research. It doesn't come simply as behind a painting or a building or a design object. There is not only the artistic side, but also the research side.
I have to say that research is the base, but nowadays the way we create our collection is changing. It's changing a lot. So because research, we have the luck that we are so lucky that we can travel a lot, going to Japan, Los Angeles, and at the end we are really meet each other in different places around the world. But more and more for us it's important to have the contamination, what you were saying. Contamination, I prefer to define a certain kind of contamination like the fresh blood. The one that we call the cool kids, some of them are still here. And we call cool kids because they are really young and they're so coming from all over the world. And it's so, my job is to listen to them and let the creative chaos going until the very, very end, where every time an idea or a few ideas
they come out.
Exactly, appear, and then make it happen. It's such a pleasure through the network that we have to the network. Again, you were trying to get an answer if the network is important or not nowadays. It's more and more important, and to me, and even also here, I recognize that the way it's working has changed. A few days ago, I was in Venice and attending a Yoko Ono lectures, and for me, it was a pleasure to discover that also Yoko Ono, such an international artist, she was saying that recently she discovered how powerful is the power of sharing. So she was really protecting her creation in the very beginning, like we used to do, work with many artists, many people, but try to protect our creative environment. And so, as she said, then she opened up she's creation to others, other artists, and the final result became so powerful. The same happened to Diesel, because in these years, because we are a lifestyle company, we start working with we open many line extensions, so we went to the car, the helmets, the bike, everything basically, the furniture, the kitchen, and start dealing with different creativity coming from different fields. For us was such a great discovery, and we decided to apply this to our core business, so the denim, and we went extreme. So we started create brainstorming where we invite video gamers. We had a lot of fun, but at the end it was an extra kick to our creative process. So in this way, I try to sum up my experience actually.
No, thank you very much. Now, from creative and designers, fashion designer, we move towards managers. It's not the minutio, and Mr. Napoleone, later on we'll go to the importance of network nowadays and the challenges, but keeping for a few minutes still on the past. Contamination can be also among other sectors, but even inside the same sector. I mean to say that classic fashion learned from the denim revolution too. So the contamination can be even inside, like, remember Greek and Rome, no? Rome conquered Greece, but was conquered from Greece itself. So what was the first reaction of the old and classic fashion, not old, but classic fashion, when you had the denim revolution, and the contamination work also among different sectors of fashion?
For sure, fashion needs to be inspired by all kinds of creativities. That means it's not just a question of being classic or formal or informal or doing research. You create because you are curious, you are open, you look at the lifestyle of your time. Having the chance to handle a company like Pitti, imagine that in fact started Italian fashion in the 50s. We have seen from the very beginning all this kind of phenomenon of contamination. And being part of a trade show for a denim producer or for formal wear producer or a knitwear producer or a shoe producer is essential, because you can really experience all this energy that arrives from all over the world. And it's quite impossible to have this kind of power, brain power, in one place, very intensive, full of energy. Of course, you have to look for the right place to be. There are so many trade shows. And of course, I'm not a wine producer, but a trade show producer. I think that Pitti Immagine at Uomo especially is a place where you have to be if you want to look at the very beginning of each season what is really going on. And this kind of thought is not just something of today, but it has been always like this. In my opinion, trade shows are playing a driving force today in the fashion business. It's also a way to compare. I think that people from Diesel or from other denim companies or formal companies, classic companies, have to be there. And we know that they cannot miss this appointment because they check if the fabric is the right one. They made a, yes, we wait for you, of course, and for probably Adriano too, and Elio, because you really meet brains, you meet creativity, you meet emotions, you meet the most contemporary influences. So this was in the past and is also today and will be also in the future. You have to work well. You have to do research, scouting. You have to set up a trade show like a very interesting magazine. And people that arrives in Florence, in this case, has to come back home richer than when he came. Not rich of money, if they can also, but rich of emotion and ideas.
Mr. Pasquet, maybe you want, because of your experience of network and globalization, you want to underline the role of network, because I understand the network, the occasional network is fine, but I think you also need in life, and some of you was quoting that, a more structured kind of networks. You cannot just be based on inspiration and self-made traveling to know and exactly understand new trends. And if you can answer to that, please, but adding to the fact, at the end of the day, inspiration is an act of stealing. It's a positive act of stealing. Everybody steals something from somebody else and maybe is stolen something else from somebody else or the same person. Don't you think so?
I wouldn't talk about stealing. I would talk about a community. The funny thing is, as Première Vision was created 40 years ago, this year, by silk people. So our team, our spirit was much more about couture, classical prêt-à-porter. And even though we had some denim exhibitors at Première Vision, we really invest that word starting in 2007 when we launched a specialized show, Denim by Première Vision. And at that time, we were like a baby in front of a new world. And what was really impressive for myself and all our team, it was that it was really about a community, a very special community. And the way this world of denim, I mean the weavers, the fabric manufacturers, the accessories manufacturers specialized in denim, the brands and all the garment manufacturers behave differently as all the other market segments in the world of fashion. And what's really interesting, and it's today one of the main feature in our thinking about at Denim by Première Vision, it's that's the place where the people are for exchanging ideas and adding some creativity and helping them to work even better in their business. Just one example, some key players have the opportunity to see the new collection some weeks before the exhibition in Paris. during the mill weeks. And even though these people come and attend the show because they need to exchange, to meet suppliers, to meet their colleagues, even the competition. It's very challenging, but it helps this industry to stay alive and to be even more creative. And when you play that at a global level, and it's our chance to be both with not a large number of American buyers, but key players in the industry, and many buyers, designers from all over Europe and some other countries, this exchange is even more important.
Yeah, I mean, listening to you, I was thinking that's the reason why the telelavoro, I think telejob, to work from home for your office, never ever got a boost in the last years, because the office or the working place is not only the place where you work, is a place where you exchange ideas, you get new ideas, and you need these human sort of networks when you work. You cannot just work at home by yourself, even though you have a computer or an internet. And it's what exactly you were quoting about the Fashion Week, that no matter if you already saw, you want to be there, because talking, chatting, or whatever you want, it helps your creativity and to understand more ideas. No man is an island, no? He used to say, John Donne. Mr. Goldschmied, let's go to the second step, the today's. Because today we have, apart from an economical crisis in Europe, that is the strongest one since the 29, but we are facing a new kind of consumer. We nicknamed that new sober consumer, not new poor. It's different. It's sober. It's not poor. It spends with more attention and has got a different hierarchy of values. So it doesn't want to buy any more cars or even fashion, but it's going to spend a lot of money, for example, for technology. And we see that in all the research we witness. So how and what is, in this moment, the role of denim in 2013 with this sort of economic scenario that I just described?
Let's say what I think is, and what I'm very excited about is that our market is changing very, very fast. And let's say all the time we have a new challenge, new situation, a new scenario in not only the denim, obviously, but let's say in the fashion and in what the desire of the people are. Let's say today we're facing changes that they're going at incredible speed. I mean, obviously, the internet era is being really changing completely the speed of communication, but also the speed of the creativity and the speed that people are understanding and they are creating new needs. Also, let's say the scenario of the method of buying a jeans is completely changed, and the segments are totally different. Let's say when I started the jean business, to operate in the jean business, basically the jean was for the young generation, period. And it was a very important fracture in some way between, let's say, the old generation and the new one. Today is totally different. It was, let's say, at that time was what we call with a very bad word, it was about moda giovane, okay? Now, today, there are new realities that they are, let's say, the big chain stores like Zara, H&M, that they've been bringing a revolution in our segment. And we are approaching a reality that is already operating since years, that basically the jean business for us, and I'm talking for my way of thinking, we went up to a kind of contemporary consumer and more modern, what we call cool, and also to a different price point. What I see is becoming a very important difference between the segments. Let's say the young generation is going to the big chains, and let's say a consumer that is more sophisticated and has more a financial possibility of spending money is going to a different level. So the jean did a big change because today is the representation of a new aesthetic, you know, that is very sophisticated, that is very connected with the design and the creativity. And so the beauty in some way of our business is that we have to face these changes and to be able to give an answer. And obviously it depends from honestly, I feel always, I've been feeling like our destiny is in our hands, you know, and we have to give an answer and to react properly to the changes and also to be able to read the future. Today, the future is the thing that we have to be able to read.
Yeah, when you were quoting Zara, yeah, it's true for the young generation, but be careful because a lot of upper-class Milanese women, they wear the shirt from Prada and the skirt from Zara. So they're mixing themselves too, even
Absolutely.
if they're not as young. Mr. Fiorucci, was easier to compete, or so the challenges in denim were easier 20, 30 years ago, or are easier now? Or you can vice versa say it was more difficult at the beginning to impose in the fashion world the denim, or is more difficult now?
Ma sapendo che oggi venivo qua, mi sono preso questa vecchia giacca che avevo nell'armadio, che è una vecchia giacca di denim.
Fiorucci.
È una giacca usatissima, però l'ho trovata dignitosa, rispettosa, per venire qui perché ha l'aria veramente del denim e della capacità del denim di subire il consumo, di subire l'età, di subire, diciamo, quello che cerchiamo tutti in un abito. Per cui credo che la caratteristica del denim dovrebbe essere questa, cioè di non invecchiare, perché la resistenza del tessuto e la semplicità del tessuto prevede che non ci sia l'invecchiamento. È uno dei pochi prodotti che non subiscono invecchiamento. Il modello resta quasi sempre uguale e il tessuto più invecchia, più diventa simpatico, più diventa tuo. Per cui ci si affeziona al denim. Ci sono pantaloni che si portano per anni. Per cui voglio dire, il denim è un prodotto definitivo, io lo considero un prodotto definitivo. Si tratta solo di trovare sempre più fabbricanti fantasiosi che aggiungano modelleria, che aggiungano fantasia, ma il materiale, se vogliamo parlare di materiale, io lo considero un materiale definitivo. Non so se Adriano è d'accordo.
Ma going back to the question, according to you, was more difficult 20, 30 years ago to impose denim in the fashion world, or is more challenging now?
Io penso che sia un po' più difficile farlo oggi, perché allora abbiamo avuto la facilità, come diceva Adriano, di trovare una situazione psicologica di contestazione, di volontà di innovazione, di capovolgere i valori. Bisogna immaginare che quando io ho aperto il negozio in San Babila, al centro di Milano, i negozi si chiamavano Principe di Galles, Duca d'Este, tutti questi nomi aristocratici avevano tutti questi abiti classici e io invece ho detto voglio fare un negozio molto grande, laccato come un grande frigorifero bianco, con delle luci al quarzo iodio, che allora non c'erano ancora a Milano, le abbiamo fatte venire dall'America, dove ci fosse la musica per far capire che non solo i prodotti cambiavano, ma cambiava il modo di pensare. Abbiamo messo i libri, abbiamo messo la macchina del caffè, abbiamo detto il negozio è la nuova scena del mondo, non è un negozio che vende vestiti, è un negozio dove si sente la musica dei Beatles, dove si leggono i libri, diciamo che di immagini che incominciavano a uscire e che era interessante, e dove nella vetrina mettevamo un'orchestrina che suonava la musica dei Beatles, cioè per dire c'era un rametto di pazzia che è stata però la capacità di capovolgere a Milano una situazione che altrimenti sarebbe stata dura.
Certo. Madam, you were among the first to have different creations for different cultures, for different markets. Now, not you. In general, the denim, not you, sorry, denim has this capacity of adapt himself to different markets and different cultures. Now, do you think that in this moment the secret is to do that, to not just produce the Levi's or Levi's jeans as we did in the 60s, and to have different productions, different shapings and shapes for different cultures, or the strength of denim is such a strength that will impose himself no matter if it's China, Brazil, Europe or India?
Yeah, I think there's a universalization of fashion. I mean, the only difference that I would do on a jeans, I think across the world, a hot jean, you all like the same one, bang, it's gone. The only different side makers, for instance, if you're just you're working with Japan or Southeast Asia, you have a slightly different pelvic structure, and so you need to actually shorten the rise. You take out about 2.5 centimeters all round, and suddenly they've got fabulous bottoms. The question, as I understood it from the briefing, was the main topics and challenges that nowadays creativity has to face. And if you don't mind, I'd like to kind of go back to that a bit. Obviously, the first thing that you've got to do is give people what they want. You know, the clothes that they want, that they can't find, you know, understand what they're bored with and what they're going to want next. But I think that what's happened, the big difference from the past, is when I was working with Adriano, we invented all sorts of processes that nobody had used before. We invented stonewashing, we put lycra into denim, which had never had it before, we printed with bleach, we did the whole distressing thing, and we were very innocent. What's happened now is, of course, the world is in a complete mess, and things like stonewashing are partly responsible. I mean, the clothing and textile industry is sort of fourth largest in the world. It employs billions of people. I think it's 1 in 6 in the world population works in clothing. And the environmental impact of what we've done, I mean, the world is in a complete chaos. We've got acidification of the sea, we've got poisoning of the land, and I think that the consumers become increasingly aware of the impact that clothing and textile industry is having on the environment, on their world. Like cotton agriculture, for instance, which is, you know, denim is made of cotton, is 10% of world agriculture, but it uses 25% of world pesticides. Pesticides cause desertification, contamination of the aquifer, 10,000 deaths a year in the developing world, 1 million people a year hospitalized, and consumers are concerned about this, and it's actually being reflected in their buying patterns. And I think the challenges that we have to face is that we actually have to address this in our industry. And, you know, the consumers want something that is, you know, is not going to damage the world, because they're aware and they're very concerned. Industry has to sell, but consumers don't have to buy. And I think what the denim you know, and the clothing industry has to address right now is how to make clothes in a cleaner way and in a fairer way, because this is what the consumers want. I know we have market research in the UK, and for, you know, big stores, 30% of their consumers expressing concerns about something, and they will change the way they buy. I mean, in England, you've got 80%, okay, of Marks and Spencer's, not the most glamorous, but they actually haven't bought a product because they're concerned about how it's made. So I think that this is, on top of having to do like hot clothes that everybody wants at a price that they can afford, this is the issue that we need to address now.
The environmental issue and the way it will be perceived by consumers too.
Yeah, you know, consumers need to know. They want traceability. They want to know. And so I think that, you know, people have been lazy too long. They didn't want to know. It's too hard. You know, I went around trade fairs asking for organic cotton in the early 90s, and people would just say, why should we do organic cotton? Because you're the only one asking for it. I'm not the only one asking for it now. You've got global consumers who are informed and they're looking for it. And I think that this is an issue that we need to start addressing seriously because, you know, clothing is in a crisis. You know, we've got an economic downturn. It's a competitive world. If this is what consumers want, we have to give it to them.
That's very interesting what you just said. Mr. Morrison, okay, denim is a globalized fashion, and what we just heard is like there are new challenges, but through a process of globalization. It's still possible to think about even about also different segments, like the denim for everybody, the democratic denim, but also a kind of tailor-made denim for top clients. Apart from being so globalized, can we verticalize it more than if we cannot sort of design it geographically? We could design it in a vertical way, socially talking.
The brand I started 2 years ago, 3x1, is probably the first store like it in the world. We're based in Soho, New York. And the concept behind the store was to have total vertical operation inside the same space. So we have 8,000 square feet, and we have a 26-person factory, all behind glass. We invite customers to come in, and they can either buy a ready-to-wear collection product, or they can custom make or get made to measure a jean. We digitize their pattern. We invite them into the process of design, and we carry the largest selection of denims of any one brand or store, almost 280 different denims. And we'd really try to have focus on transparency and understanding that everyone's need for a denim is a little bit different than everyone else's, whether it's size or whether, you know, we have customers coming in from Europe, we have customers coming in from Japan, from China. Everyone has a little bit different take on what their perfect jean is. So I think there's definitely ways that companies can address that, but I do think it's inherently very difficult, at least in my career. It's been extremely difficult. The Dutch market wants this type of product. The Italian market wants something different. The Germans maybe a little bit different even than the Dutch or the Italians. And the Americans are a five-pocket jean business. So when you start looking at globalization, it's very difficult to apply the same paintbrush and reach this, you know, a mass audience. Everyone wants something just a little bit different.
Yeah, the same sort of question for this. Like the biggest challenge you have in this moment is what? Because you might, somebody might think that, well, you have such a strong label that they will buy diesel in China as in India as in Europe in the same way. Does it still work that?
But, first of all, the challenge is something that I want to approach in a positive way, because it's keep on, again, a creative process is something that is pushing the improving process. Yeah, no, we are selling, we have one collection, and this is the way we still working, so just doing our collection. There, of course, there is different customer. They are clusterizing in a different way. So Japan is buying different product from this collection. United States, others. When I say clusterizing, we offer, of course, our collection is pretty huge. So we offer different styles, fabrics, washes. So at the end, you can find even your prices inside there. but we are not working in a regional way, if this was the question.
Yeah.
So nowadays we still, with one collection, cover all the global market. The reason why is because in this way we are doing fewer compromises. We stay, it's a way to stay true to your DNA and do what you're able to do, especially in the denim.
So if I had to ask you, what's the biggest challenge in this moment for Diesel Group?
The biggest challenge, probably in my opinion, is like Diesel to keep on stay connected with the young generation. It means it is again a positive challenge because it's something that we are keep on doing. Let's say that before was now is the Y generation. In the future will be my son, maybe the Z generation. So, and because you need to build a relation with them that is different. It is changing. Let's say every 10 years is changing, and I had the pleasure. It's 15 years that I work in Diesel, and I saw this dynamic. And again, I treat like a positive dynamic, but you need to stay open and stay and listen to them. So it's a funny way. And again, it's having fun of doing that. So I don't want to.
I want to make you aware that the third round, now I finished the second, but will be very quick, and so I want to give you some minutes to think about it, because I changed the schedule. And I'd like to know, imagining there is a young stylist, yourself 30, 40, 50 years ago, and which message you will provide him with in terms of how to shape trends, because obviously he or she heard your beautiful story in the past, the present, and now he's like 18, or she's 18, and she would like to work in this denim sector. And what will be your best suggestion to him, so in shaping trends and how trends can be shaped? Just to leave you some minutes to think about it. And Mr. Napoleone, this is, as usual, the point of view of designer and producer. But do you think that the challenges that we just heard about denim world are the same challenges of all the fashion world, or there is a specificity?
Good question.
Sometimes it happens to me.
Yes, this is very good. In fact, I don't think that creativity has just one line to follow. Creativity is something that is transversal, that passes through our society, passes through our culture, passes through our period. And as I told you before, for sure, the same kind of tension that you need to renew yourself season after season in finding new ideas and intercepting what exactly is going on the denim or jeans area is the same kind of feeling that, for example, the formal wear has to pass through. Pitti Immagine Uomo is a good example of this, because we need, and we are forced, we are, I can say, obsessed, not to be the same season after season. So we have to renew ourselves, sometime using the same kind of collections. And to do this, we enjoy ourselves in also finding season after season different kind of settings inside each pavilion that makes a little bit the difference. Sometimes the box is something that changes the content. Of course, you have to work on fabrics, you have to go work on shapes, you have to work on communication, but our role is also the role of helping each company to underline and put in value the renewal season after season. And this touches, of course, denim and formal wear and knitwear and shoes and bags and contemporary fashion and research areas.
So similar challenges for all the fashions fields and sectors?
In my opinion, the same story in the food industry or in the car industry. You need, and we are forced to be creative, much more than other sectors. In my opinion, informatics is a little bit Jurassic. When you buy a new phone, it takes months or years before having the device really working. And we don't have 1 year to find a solution for our new idea in fashion. We need to find something that crosses the expectation of the consumer, and in few weeks now, you need to be successful in this way. So we need really to be naturally amphetaminic.
Natural amphetaminic. Mr. Pasquet, I'd like to focus with you on the emerging markets because you've got a lot of experience there. I am not so sure that we can still keep on producing the same fashion for emerging markets that we produce for the Western world, because we did that because these were emerging markets. Now they are emerged and we are submerging. So I think I'll be very careful in considering them emerging markets. But I'd like to know your opinion, obviously. That's just my sensation when I visit those markets, that these clients and these consumers are becoming more and more aware of their political, economical power, and therefore of their right to decide what they want to wear.
That's right. We do consider at Première Vision that there is a huge potential for in the emerging markets for this industry, and in particular for the industry we gather in our fairs, the industry focused on the premium market. There's a huge potential in the BRICS, but not only in the BRICS, also in some what we could call the second-tier markets. It's a new opportunity. Apart from the capacity of this industry to maintain attractiveness toward the consumer through innovation, creativity, renewed creativity, that's a new outlet over there, and but it will take time. We have some experience at Première Vision in that field because we have been accompanying other market segments in the fashion since 2004 in China, for instance, 2006 in Russia. We started in Brazil in 2010, and it took years for the consumer in these countries to have the fashion culture in order to understand the product. In that respect, it's key to bring them a real know-how, a real difference in terms of product, real specialists in that field. The potential is there, but it will take time. This market started to evolve to more added value products, starting with menswear, and then with women's wear, evenings wear, but it requests even more sensibility, understanding to make the difference between a basic product and a premium product in sportswear in general and in denim in particular. But the potential is there. I can't speak about design, but in terms of fabrics, it's pretty sure that there will be a huge market in these countries, and it's an additional market for this industry.
Thank you. Now, the most difficult of the questions, because you have to give me a short answer that hopefully can touch the young part of the public. As I told you before, how to shape new trends and how trends can be shaped. What's the secret you want to give and provide a new designer or somebody who would like to be a fashion designer but is afraid about that? And so, Mr. Goldschmied?
Let's say, obviously this one is clearly the most difficult question because...
and the last one, in fact.
Yeah. Because when we talk about what is going to happen in the future, I mean, what we have to do
how to shape, how to have your backpack of instruments to shape the future. We don't know what will happen, but to be ready to shape the trend.
Let's say, from my point of view, they are sure that there are a few things that are happening the market is coming more and more competitive, and the need of the people are getting higher and higher. And one thing that is very important that Katharine was talking about is that is going to come a very important subject is for sure the responsibility as designers to handle our business in a responsible way and be able to give answers. Let's say, if I have to think about my future is to be able to give answers to those questions, to be able to shape my design in a more responsible way that is not only about the water or the energy, but is also about morality. I have to think about my workers, how they work. I have to think about how they work in other countries. I need to have this responsibility. But let's say the key point, in my opinion, at the end, in order to shape in the future, is to work on innovation. Never like right now, I think the function of the design and the research is so important. Because let's say, especially in sophisticated markets like Japan or let's say Europe or United States, the product is something that needs to have a new appeal, a new interest, and we have to create a new emotion in the buyers. And let's say, for me, the key point basically is to be able to bring innovation, to bring new desire for the product, and to make this one in a very responsible way. Those, in my opinion, are the challenges.
The new frontiers.
For instance, for sure, ISKO is today doing this round table. They are a textile mill, and the textile mills in general, they have a huge responsibility for the impact that their production have on the environment. And for sure, there are things that all we know that we are working is like to try to substitute, for instance, the cotton with other materials that they have a lower impact. They are all challenges that we are facing, and so we are able to give those answers and also to make the consumer with a new generation of products that they are, for sure, they have a different appeal than the old ones.
So it would be like, if I had to give you the headlines, would be to think and focus on the new values of the new consumers, because this is what, if I could have a slightly shorter answer, more like, I remember Steve Jobs, be angry and foolish, not like that, but almost like that. Mr. Fiorucci, a suo nipote, o maschio o femmina, non importa, a mio figlio, what would be the suggestion if he wants to be a fashion designer? What would you say to her or to him as big a suggestion to be able to shape the future trends?
Ma è una risposta molto difficile. Cioè, io credo che la creatività deve essere la sensibilità di sentire dei bisogni ancora allo stato nascente. Il Denim ha avuto quella cioè deve, e bisogna capire, per esempio, io riflettendo sempre sul Denim, io credo che il Denim, che è rimasto un abbigliamento sempre abbastanza diciamo di utilizzazione semplice, cioè dal pantalone a qualche giacca, a qualche cosa così, però poteva, le camicie, voglio dire, potrebbero avere ancora un grande spazio, camicie, e E poi la confezione da donna, io credo che potrebbe... Cioè, alla donna piace il denim, piace essere vestita di denim perché ha un'aria giovane e ha una possibilità di essere delavato, di essere usato, per cui porta con sé un fascino dell'oggetto posseduto. Per
Quindi
cui spazi ancora io ne vedo, ne immagino. Noi con la ISKO avevamo provato a fare un'esperienza di disegnare una collezione che non fossero i pantaloni e non fossero le cose classe, ma per esempio dei reggiseno. Io ricordo che molti anni fa avevamo disegnato un costume da bagno che poi era stato molto fotografato, di denim, su una ragazza molto bella, e anche il costume da bagno di denim potrebbe avere una forte attrazione, perché con l'acqua si delava, si invecchia, cioè abbiamo paura di uscire forse, la paura è quella di uscire da quei semplici prodotti. Io credo che compito...
No, non volevo interrompere, ma mi basta il titolo perché resto ancora un giornalista, e cioè uscire da quelli che sono stati tracciati, to try new frontiers compared to what we just did until now, and the example of the bra and the swimming costume was perfect. Madam?
Sì.
Well, I'll answer the question very quickly because there's something I just want to chuck into this. I think if you're a designer, design what you want to wear yourself. And the moment, you know, like the eureka moment for design is like when you're going to a party and you've got nothing to wear. And you've got to think, what would I want to wear? Design that. Because if you don't want to wear it, nobody else would. My experience is, if I want it, everybody else wants it. You've got to design clothes that people want to kill for. But the bit I want to put in is we're talking about, okay, the new generation coming up, but have you seen the unemployment figures in Europe for the new generation? It's unbelievable. They haven't got any jobs. So where are they going to get the money to buy a jeans by you or you or you? They haven't got it. And I think that this is a fundamental issue. Since we're trying to wrap this up, I would suggest that everybody has a quick look at the EU 2020 strategy, which is a European directive about increasing employment, it's sustainable, taking Europe on a sustainable development path, it's questioning the whole idea of growth. And I think to do this, we need actually legislation. You saw the huge factory fire in Bangladesh where over 1,000 people died. If we insist, we go for legislation in the EU that, to start off with, raises the pitiful living wage that we're paying people in the developing world from $2 a day to $4 a day, that introduces a building fire and safety regulation with heavy penalties for any retailer or brand that brings stuff into our territories. This will, without having this certification, this will automatically, improve the lives of people, but it will protect, that dangerous word we're not supposed to use, protectionism, but it will encourage, let's put it that way, European clothing manufacturers. It will make them more competitive, and so it will give these kids jobs so they can buy the jeans that they're making themselves. I think we need to look at, and I know that Scott's doing this in the States, he's making in the USA, he's part of a show called Liberty, is that right, which is pioneering made in the USA. We need to be looking at made in Europe, and we've just had a legislation that put a 35% import duty onto jeans made in the USA. I mean, that was very quick. We need to be looking at employment in our sector, which is a huge employer of young people, and putting legislation in place.
That's absolutely an issue, but
I'll let you go on to the
you were so
first
good
one.
at the beginning because your answer was really short, and then you became
on
Italian in the end.
Yeah,
but,
folks, dig this up. It's called the EU 2020 strategy.
See, Madam, let me tell you something, because I cover
There's
business
new thinking in
and
this.
finance. The 2020, since when the European Union decided to have the 2020 policy, the crisis started. So we still don't know what's going to happen to that. But,
well, no, I mean,
that is a very important goal that the European, it's a very important goal that the European Union give to itself. that the issue of our consumer, which sort of consumers we'll have in the future with this unemployment rate is a beautiful issue. It's not part of this roundtable, but it is the issue for fashion world. Otherwise, you'd produce just for emerging markets and not anymore for the European one, if it keeps on like that. But anyway, if I can have the same flash, sure. I'm very confident on your Anglo-Saxon capacity of being not Latin, but you are disappointing me, please.
My suggestion to anyone getting into design, especially on the denim side, is to keep it very, very simple and very straightforward. It's come up and establish a unique point of view. There's too much similarity in our market, and something that the best way to do that is to focus on innovation and focus on newness and try and reinvent yourself, your brand, your concept every season. And you know, don't sit on your laurels. You know, don't rest.
Oh, I love the synthesis too. And a young Renzo Rosso, what would be his biggest challenge in this moment?
To me, first of all, today the designer, it's a young designer, even though it's going to be a young entrepreneur, should be if we're under 60, so he has to have one thing, a vision. If he has a vision inside, a lot of passion, it can make it happen. If you want a sentence, I go back to the claim we used for the Be Stupid campaign. So the smart people see things as they are, and the stupid ones see how they could be. So if you see how they could be, you have a vision, and you can see deeper and deeper, and then you can create, as Adriano was saying. So invention is the key. If you came out with a new idea, that's of course it's not an easy moment, but it's going to help.
No, it's not an easy moment, but
that's
tough people come out
for.
in difficult periods. Mr. Napoleone, seeing that from the point of view of Pitti, what is the biggest? How do you shape or try to shape new trends?
The trends in fashion or my personal ones?
Well, both if you want. I mean, both if you want. Your personal trends.
There are so many. Mine is today. No, I don't feel it very comfortable today because I'm arriving from Biella, and so I really feel a bit different from all the others. Fortunately, I have Philippe, very elegant, ingessato. But from my point of view, and I'm coming back to my work also if I have other ideas, for sure the shape or the directions on which we have to work as much as possible is to be more and more successful in this kind of mental clashes that happens during our appointments. This has to be our main goal. Means giving emotions, trying really to cross and overlap as much experiences, good experiences, international experience, young experiences during Pitti. This, in my opinion, is really, that in fact is what each company has to do in his work, because if you remain the same also with evergreen products, finally, I mean, and Levi-Strauss could be a good example, you risk also to lose part of the market. And so you need your evergreen part of the business, but in the meantime, you need your extraordinary capacity in renewing yourself now, weeks after weeks.
Mr. Pasquet, let me dream. I mean, what would be the claim for this young boy or girl to shape the future? There's no recipe, obviously, but from your point of view, considering your exposition on emerging markets?
I think many of us would love to have a precise idea on the future. Generally speaking, in our business, we have no many clues beyond a few seasons, so it's not so easy. As far as the denim business is concerned, I would say the key point is the best possible interlink between fashion and denim. Because if you have a look on what happened over these last years, it's because fashion entered even more in that product that the denim did well. And today, this kind of products, just see at the lion's share of stretch today, it's coming because of fashion. And I do think that the best possible link between fashion and denim will be the key for the future of that industry.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to everybody. But let me tell you something before introducing on the stage again Marco Lucetti. If I had to make a title, so to do my job, I will title "The Denim is Dead, Long Life to Denim," as they say in England when the king dies, if I remember correctly. Il denim è morto, ma lunga vita al denim, because it's what was emerging under the lines on your all your sort of reflection and comments. So thank you very much to Mr. Adriano Goldschmied, Elio Fiorucci, Katharine Hamnett, Scott Morrison, Vladimiro Baldin, Raffaello Napoleone e Philippe Pasquet. Chiamo invece, se fate un applauso, Marco Lucetti. Io posso fare solo un ringraziamento, così poi ti lascio.
Prego.
Grazie a ISKO, perché è sempre bello sconoscere mondi nuovi, ma soprattutto avere personalità così diverse che ragionano su un settore industriale fondamentale per il Made in Italy, com'è la moda e com'è nella moda il settore del denim, è stata un'opportunità anche per me. Questo non vuol dire che non mi pagate. Grazie ancora e buon lavoro.
Grazie.